I'm Clint Smith. We'd like to welcome you to Thunder Ranch. What you're about to view is some of the training things that we do here at the school. I think it's important that you understand that what you see on this is not a replacement for actual training. It's not going to take the place of going out and doing a little bit of hard work. And it also should help clarify some things about the school's doctrine. I think what many people think about the school and about what we teach, even though not everyone agrees with what we teach, I think a lot of people miss the point. It's really not about shooting. The school's not about shooting. The school is about making people smart, teaching people to be smart, to make wise decisions, to try to avoid confrontations, to try to avoid using firearms to defend yourself, and so on. We're not opposed to you doing that. Matter of fact, we expect you to do so and would like for you to. But we need for you to understand that each time that you discharge a firearm, you got to remember kind of in your mind's eye that there will be a lawyer attached to every bullet. So you need to make wise decisions. And we're hoping that this DVD that you're about to see, this information that you're about to receive, will be helpful to you in some way to make wise decisions about the things that you may have to do to defend yourself or your family. I'd like to discuss with you briefly before we start on the range is safety. This is very simple. People talk about this all the time. Most people blow it off. You talk to them about it, question them about it, they get grumpy about it. It's real simple. What people forget about the 4 firearm safety rules is that they were designed to be used in fighting. We simply use them on the range because they work. Okay? And they give us discipline and organization and keep it so it's a safe environment. But primarily they were intended to be used in a fight in your house. Rule 1, all guns are always loaded. Okay, we treat that gun. People go, well, you know, it's not. Yeah, I know, it's not loaded unless it is. The drill is relatively simple. Okay, I treat the guns like they're loaded all the time. I don't swing and cover the camera with the muzzle unless my intent is to possibly do damage to the camera. Okay, I don't cover the class. I don't cover myself. So I treat the guns like they're loaded all the time. As soon as you make an exception to that, that's where you kind of cause trouble. Rule 2, okay? Don't point the muzzle at anything you're not willing to destroy. Don't point it at your leg regardless of what your technique is. Don't point it at your partner's back. Don't cover people on your right or left. Get the gun away from you, okay, and keep the muzzle in a safe direction. Okay? I don't bring the gun up around my head or face. I keep it away from me when it comes out of the holster. Rule 3, keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target and you're willing to shoot. Key word or phrase was willing. If I'm on the target, I'm on the trigger. If I get off the target, get off the trigger. Ask yourself a question. How many gunfights have you been in? How many times have you tripped and fallen? You've tripped and fallen more. If you walk around with your finger on the trigger, you're going to wind up tripping and setting this thing off when you don't want it to. So it's very simple. Okay, keep your finger off the trigger till your sights are on the target. I'm not going to threaten or intimidate people with the gun. I go on the target, I go on the trigger. My intent is to shoot them if they don't comply with what I want. If I'm not going to shoot them and my intent is not to shoot them, then I wouldn't point the gun at them. 4, be sure of your target and backstop. Not only what the bullet's about to strike, but where in your mind's eye it would continue on. If we bullet passed through my opponent, what would it go through and do from there? Remembering that there's a lawyer attached to all these bullets. So, in closure, rule 1, all guns are always loaded and we treat them that way. 2, don't point the muzzle at anything you're not willing to destroy, including yourself and the people around you. 3, keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target. I'm not going to threaten or intimidate with the gun. On target, on trigger. And I'll shoot based on what they do. 4, be sure of the target that you're about to shoot at and the backstop beyond. We're not shooting sounds and shadows and stuff like that. These were intended for fighting. We use them on the range because they work. We brought you inside the house here in Terminator 3. This is a pretty hard thing to teach. There's a lot of people that consider themselves to be experts in the field of tactics and the application of it. All you have to do is read it, go into the gun magazines. I don't claim to be an expert. I've been doing it for about 30 years in one form or another. I openly admit that my way is much more conservative than a lot of people. I had a couple young people just with me today, and they were talking about they were somebody who had prior military service and they wanted to kick the doors in and run the walls and flood the room and all that kind of stuff. I got that, but most of the people who are watching this, okay, it's probably not going to be like SWAT guys or like military guys. If I was a military guy and this was my problem, it'd be real simple. I'd just stand back off, call on a radio, okay, and blow up the whole building. You know, if I was a SWAT team, I'm going to go with 10 or 12, 15 guys inside and sort something out. If you're just a regular guy like me, there's a couple things I want you to understand. I'm going to give you this in 2 segments. One segment will be tactics in and of themselves, and then we'll give you tactics and we'll use the flashlights. Both of those things, flashlights and tactics, are not things that I would like for you to do. The only reason that I teach them to my students, okay, is in case they have to use them.
Who'd like to turn the flashlight on in the middle of a fight? Not me, but I might need to turn the flashlight on so that I'm not shooting at one of my grandkids or something. And I already know about that part about being stupid, okay, and doing stuff that's goofy like that. I simply need to identify the threat. I'm not going to shoot at sounds and shadows and noises and stuff. If you're that scared, okay, you shouldn't be wandering around doing this stuff. The deal with tactics is the same way. I don't teach tactics because I want you to use them. I want you to stay behind the bed, behind the locked door, let the alarm go off. I want you to dial 911. I want the dog to go down the hallway and bite somebody in the crotch. I want something like that to happen before I want you to go down there. I don't teach tactics because I want you to do them. I teach you tactics and flashlights in case you have to, and that's the very bottom line on it. So mine is a more conservative approach, and I admit so right now. I'm not interested in kicking the door in. I'm not interested in running a room. What I'd like to do is think of myself when I'm inside as a butterfly. I simply move through here, okay? I move and flow, more like water flowing in rather than being rushing into the room. I understand doorways and fatal funnels. Trust me, I was around before. A lot of that stuff, they actually had a name for it. The drill with it is this is real simple. I'm going to take you through. And the difference is when I take you through, what I'm going to do is I actually am going to talk to you on this camera, okay, and tell you what I'm thinking in my head as I do this. And I'm going to take you into rooms and corners and hallways. I'm going to take you into stairwells, both up and down, and then I'm going to talk to you. So somebody goes, well, he's talking. I don't think I would talk in a tactical environment. That's not what we're doing, numbnuts, okay? What we're talking about is my ability to communicate what I'm thinking as I go through and do these things. You'll hear me mention terminology like route of escape. You'll hear me talk to you about like pieing or slicing corners, okay? And when I talk to you about those things, if there's anything that I believe that someone might not be clear on, I'm going to describe what it is in my mind's eye. Remember, this is tactics, and how you apply them are a lot like opinions and buttholes. Everybody's got one about how it should be done. I admit I don't know everything. I've been doing this a long time, and that don't make me right, but it does give me time and grade. And what I would always suggest for you is a conservative approach. Don't do it if you don't have to. And if you have to do it, you got to go in heads up, eyes up, okay, with the idea that this can be really dangerous. So I'm teaching you something I don't want you to do. It's always better to do it with a team concept. Even a husband and wife are much better because you got 4 eyes and 4 ears and 2 guns compared to one person trying to do this. I cannot stress to you strongly enough that this is dangerous. I am not teaching it because I want you to use it. I'm teaching it in case you have to. And then after that, there's some fun stuff. It's like puzzles. It's a puzzle. I like putting the puzzle together. There are primarily 4 things that I think about when I come inside to apply tactics or apply them in my home. Those things are relatively simple. The first thing is architecture. By architecture, I mean my ability to look at what I'm about to go to. In my own home, I shouldn't really have much trouble. In other words, every one of you has walked up and pushed on a door that was painted on the door, pull. So that means you weren't reading the architecture. I read the hinges. How are the hinges? If I see the pins, the door will open to me. If I don't see the pins, the door will open away. If it's an interior door, it might be like a sliding or pocket door. That would be a variable that I would have to deal with. So architecture in that sense. I'll show you examples of architecture where things will match on opposite sides of a doorway deep in the room, but they won't match up close, and the up close then part becomes the dangerous part. The next element of it, in my opinion, is billiards. Billiards is a game of balls. Whoever has the best angle on the ball gets the most balls in the pocket. So it's really, truly in my world about angles, what we call slicing or pieing. What's the best angle that I can take on solving my problem so that I have that ability to get done what I want with a minimum amount of exposure, which ties into the last 2, which actually go together. They're the M&Ms, and it's like the little candy pieces, okay? The first M is simple. I maximize the distance every time I can. In my world, my opinion, every step I can step back is about 10 stitches in a knife fight and about 1 shot in a gunshot fight. And if I'm in a gunfight or something in that mode, so I maximize the distance. I open the ground if I can. You'll constantly see me stretching it back to try to get away. I imagine that every time I open a door, someone is going to run out of that doorway right at me, right in my face. Every single door. That's the image I have in my head. So I maximize the distance from the doors, and I maximize the distance on the corners. The last M is to minimize myself as a target. What I want to do is I know that I'll come to a certain point in time where I'll start to see or believe I see a threat, and I'll show you examples. You'll see me stall and haul up and use the door frame for cover. And people go, well, the bullet would go through the door frame, Clint. That's the whole point. Let's see if the bullet will go through the door frame. I know it's going to go through my shirt. Let's see if it'll go through the door frame. So I minimize myself as a target. I know I can be shot. I've been shot. What I want to do is I don't want to help them. If they want to shoot me again in this lifetime, they're going to have to earn it, and they're going to have to work for it. I'm not going to step full value stupid right in the middle of the doorway and get clipped by somebody simply because I didn't use that. They go, well, bullets, we already covered that. Bullets will go through, but that's the whole point. Let's make them go through stuff to get to us. So, architecture, read the ground I'm working on. Billiards, the best angle, slicing pine to get the job done. Maximize the distance. Anytime I can get away from them, I should, to maximize that distance. It allows me to apply marksmanship, make decisions, sometimes better ones. Last M, minimize myself as a target. I know I can be shot, but I am not going to help this guy shoot me. I'm going to put stuff between me and him.
This would be an example. I've read the door frame, the doors come open, I've stepped back away from it, and now what I'm going to do is slice or pie this off. You, the camera, you have visual contact with the target. What I would want to avoid is stepping here so that I step out and overly expose myself. What my preference would be is once I start to get an inclination that there's a threat there, I would prefer to hold this ground, which keeps me behind the door frame, roll in to clear the muzzle, and then I would ask for compliance, stop, out of my way, and I would get the target to go down. And most of that was done with most of me behind cover, which was the whole idea. When we work on these doorways, the problem with it is most people want to rush into them. My personal opinion is to take it a little bit slow. Even though you can't see me now, I'll come into view. What I would do, if the right side of the doorway was not clear, I would work the right side of the room first, okay, and make sure that it came clear, as it has now. When I start to work this side or the left side, I come up. And what I need you to remember is there's an imaginary wall, what we would call a force field here. In other words, I don't want to break that with my elbow. I don't want to step across it with my leg. I don't want to stick the muzzle in. So what I would do is when I got to this point, I would simply come here and set my foot so that it didn't break the plane. The reason I selected the middle of the door is it allows my shoulder to be clear. I keep the gun up and then I roll in here. I'm not trying to get the room clear. I'm trying to get about that much of the room, which as it goes across the room equates to about 3 foot at this depth. So very simply, I would come here to check it, and then I start in. Someone will bring up the fact that, well, someone will reach out and grab your muzzle. Yeah, and the deal with it is if you look at me for a moment, you'll see all this convoluted rodeo stuff in the magazines. If this is a good idea for you, I'd like for you to fire the gun in there a couple times and see what you think of it. In this application, I simply have it here. I'm going to step up, stage myself, roll in to get the first segment, and then I would slice it right on around, keeping the gun up so that I have it in this format until I got this corner in the back that's not clear. Just do it smoothly. So if you look at it, once it came clear, I step, stage, roll, take a little bit. I don't want the whole room. I just want this part. Now I got it, work it right on around, nice and smooth, till this part comes clear. Remember that if something goes wrong, this is my route of escape. And I would step back there if someone started to come around the corner or tried to make physical contact with me. For purposes of this drill, what we've done is transfer to a red gun so no one gets hysterical. This gives you an idea of what you're looking at in that plane. I'm moving up now, having already cleared the right. You may or may not pick a shadow or a movement up on the wall, and there's not much I can do about it. Once I'm set here, all I really want to do is get this first part, just that part. Then what I'm going to do is carefully slice it off, keeping the gun between me and what I don't like, and work it right on around, nice and smooth, remembering that's my route of escape if something goes wrong.
Once I got inside here and got this piece, I have this door to deal with. Many people would go to that side. Access would be better. The problem with it is when the door comes open, I would be overly exposed. And if someone comes through the door like I talked to you about, okay, you're going to be cut off from your route of escape. My personal preference is to start in this flat plane, okay, that game of billiards again. And I'm going to go in and get the door, and I'm going to back up, bringing the door with me, which is my first M. I'm maximizing the distance with the gun between me and the threat, and I'm going to minimize myself by not stepping to the left and letting myself be exposed. So once I got in here and the room was clear, I would move up here smoothly, set myself, reach in, twist, turn, step back, get back away from the door, block it here. This position allows me to clear the left side of that room the way this room is set up. Once it came clear, I would work towards my route of escape, which is where you are, and work my way back here, slicing now on the right side. On these points here, I clear that first. This is my new pivot point. Think about it like a wagon wheel. The hub, my pistol and arm are the spoke, and my head is the rim. I simply would use that because as I move back towards you and slice it off, what's going to happen is I'm going to see whatever the threat is moving in that way, and I simply, if something goes wrong, I would back away, and if I need to, I could roll in to get access to a target. So when I go in, I open it, I come back, minimize myself as a target, I maximize the distance. Once we've got the door open and we worked it, we came back around this side. I personally use the tables and chairs to help me. I work around behind them, so if someone ran at me, they would have to run around the table or chair to get to me. That allows me access to my route of escape. Once I need to go in, I can already tell you what I don't like in this room. Go in the room all the way down on this wall in the corner, and it'll be what we don't like. What I would do is come here using that table to protect myself. I would even tuck my left elbow down so my elbow didn't break the plane. I would slice it off in here, and I would come into this point that I'm working at. Okay, I'm going to stage it again. A couple points of interest here. People will talk about, well, put the gun in your left hand. I've seen 3 people in 30 years that can put the gun in their left hand from their right hand and not break anything in stride as far as technique or marksmanship. Maybe you're the 4th one, but I don't know. Myself, I leave my strong side here. I step up. I already cleared this side from over there, so I step to here, stage. Now I'm ready to go in and clear that corner I don't like. This is very important. Most people will do this, and they'll look in the corner. I don't want to look in the corner. What I want to do is go in to fight in the corner. So I'm ready to go, and I roll. It comes clear. I go through. If it's not clear, I have some protection here. People go, well, the bullet will go through the wall. We already covered that ground, okay? The deal with it is I would much rather the stuff pick up here than pick up in my green shirt. Once I rolled in and cleared this piece, I'm going to go into this room. You'll notice in here when we do this, there's like 2 doors, like in the room we're going to work in now. What we do is segregate a door when we're teaching it, okay? If you have 2 doors, and you have to deal with both of them. So don't anybody weird out about it. My primary deal is going to be the left door because we're trying to work on teaching you something, not trying to solve every problem at once. Once I had this, if I needed to go through and clear the door on the left, my personal preference would not be to go that way because when the door comes open, I'll be standing in front of the open door. My personal preference would be to come here down the flat, okay? Checking my route of escape. I would work in this format. When I go forward to the door, what I'm going to do is open the door with the mind in my mind's eye to go straight back, with the idea of moving towards the right to use my route of escape. So I would come here, I twist it, turn it, and then I step back, remembering that somebody may come out, and I step away from the threat. Once I've got this part, if it was dark and I didn't like it or whatever was going on, I can shove a light beam in there, but I'll talk to you more about that when we get to the lights. Here, I would simply start slicing it off again and working in this format, working my way all the way around, already realizing that my real problem is going to be that corner in that room eventually, because it'll be the part where I have to expose part of myself to solve the problem. What it's going to look like is when we open it from the opposite side, basically when the door comes open, you're not going to have any idea where we're actually at. What I'm going to do now is work on the slice and slice it off and I'm going to minimize myself as a target. So the least amount of me is exposed as I come in to clear this area. So I'm slicing it very slowly and smoothly. As I work right on around, I'm going to come right here, keeping the table now, which is my friend, to protect me in case someone would run at me. Eventually, we all know what I don't like, which is in the room where you are, to your right, that corner. So I'm working up here, slicing it off. As I work along, I don't want to break the imaginary plane, so I'd set myself here, stage, roll in to fight, not to look. It comes clear, then I could go in if it was clear. If you find yourself in these short corners that are compressed, my personal preference is to continue to slice them off. We all know that this area that would be to your left is dangerous, so I want to come in here and slice it off nice and smooth. I'm not in any hurry, working it right along. You already know that my shadows there, that would be a target indicator, sound, movement, reflection, contrast, outline. There's not much I can do about it. I could try to cut the light out, but it's not going to do that much good for me, okay? And I told them where I was, so I might as well slice it right on around nice and smooth. And I would work up to here, basically coming in this mode, okay? And then I would roll in to fight, not to look. Once it came clear, I would start to work on this door. My personal opinion is I would go in and get the door. If I go around, I would get better access, but I'm cut off from my route of escape, which is back here. So my preference would be to come here in this mode, stage myself to go to work, twist it, turn it, shove it, and step away from it. With the idea if something goes wrong, I can move laterally right and use this wall for cover. This is pretty good because I'm real minimal exposure. Once I got here, I could start to work again the left side of the door frame to clear that room and then flow in nice and smoothly, kind of working around the edges instead of all that kicking and stomping and hell raising. Simply come in here and work it back, slice them off nice and smooth, and that's what we're looking for. My gun's up to defend myself. No target, no finger on the trigger. I got it in here and I work it nice and smooth, work it right on around. When I come to here, okay, what I'm doing is losing sight of that room, but I don't like this corner. So I would come as far as I can to here, and then I would retrace my steps and come back because I don't know what changed inside the room since I'm in here doing this, okay? And this part comes clear to continue coming right on around. Then I know I don't like the left, so I would lower the profile, step, stage, roll, it's clear. Then I could go into the room and start working this part. There's an old bumper sticker. It said, "Speed kills," and it does. And it has a lot of people. This is one of the most dangerous things that you encounter, what we call a 180. Because I can tell you right now, if I step back in that corner and I'm inside, I won't be able to see somebody standing in that corner. And it works the same way on the other one. So if I have no indicators, in other words, when I started to come into the room, somebody turned and ran this way, that would give me an indicator there's probably a bad man there. With no indicators, I would run what we call a 180. A lot of people would get two guys try to roll in, all that stuff, but maybe I'm just here by myself without any indicators. It's something one way or the other. And you should never have these in your home, because I should have put a decorative mirror on that wall that I can see from this room, and in that mirror I clear that corner, and that's going to solve a lot of problems for me. The problem with it is the police and the military don't have the luxury of staging mirrors, which is the advantage of fighting in your own home. If I had to do this, I'll step out of view for a moment. I came around and checked that side, checked basically your right down the wall. Now I came back around and I checked the left. I have no indicators and neither corner is clear. I step, okay, and if you watch my feet, I roll in, it's clear. I step in reverse, it's clear. Is it perfect? No. But what it does do is not step me into the room that I don't know if either side is clear. So looking at it again, kind of slowly, when I get to this side, I step, stage, roll in, then step with my foot for platform and clear the other side. I swing my muzzle in a down arc because my arms lift up better than they lift down, and I don't want the stinking muzzle near my head or face. So I have it here to clear this side. I step for platform, bring it down, reverse it to clear the other one. And those 180s are always a booger. Stairwells are always bad. A lot of people are really terrified of them. I never really worry about it much one way or the other, because here's the drill. There could be 5 ways to clear this stairwell or 500. They will all suck when there's somebody at the top with a gun. The deal with it is I think of a couple things. Remember that you have the vertical corners of the walls and you have the horizontal corners of the overhang. You already know how to clear corners. We slice them off. So I'll show you the stairwell. This one's a bad one because not only does it go halfway up to a landing and then back, but it has like 4 apertures in the overhead. So sometimes when you look at it and go, I don't understand why he's doing it that way. That's partly because we can't show you everything that we're looking at. But trust me, at the top of this stairwell, there are at least 5 different planes with 5 different openings. So part of what I'm going to do is work on that. The other thing is I need for you to remember about stairwells. They're nothing but a hallway with unsure footing. So I have no fear of them. I simply hold them in high regard because they're damn dangerous, okay? And I already talked to you about it. When I go up this thing, I'm going to primarily keep my muzzle focused on the direction where people could get to me and put their hands on me, like from the stairs, like they would run down the stairs. So my primary is there. I'll use a fusion of 2 techniques. My muzzle and my eyes will be using the search mode on the landing in that area, and then you'll notice that my head rolls around like the Exorcist chick, okay? And what I'm doing is running a scan on the overhead. When I run the scans, I'm looking for a muzzle or somebody leaning out with a cinder block, or like our friends from NYPD, someone's throwing a refrigerator off the roof on top of their head. There's a fun thing, okay? So the drill with it is we'll start up slowly. I'll talk to you about what I'm doing, same thing. You know, I already told you I don't advocate you necessarily talk on the stairwell, but if I have a partner, that would be okay. The real drill is I want you to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Here's what I was talking to you about. This is a corner, but in a horizontal plane. This is a corner in a vertical plane. I'm going to break lots of planes at one time. So my preference would be to come here. What I'm going to do is work this plane. That's the vertical one where the camera is, but I don't want to break the horizontal over my head. Once I've got as much as I can, what I'm going to do is step over here. I'm going to reverse it and get this part. Once I got the initial part, I simply come here and start. So what I'm going to do is go up one, search the landing where people can actually come from. Then I'm going to scan, looking for muzzles and cement blocks and refrigerators. Then I'm going to step up and I'm going to search and I'm going to scan. I'm going to step up, search, scan. I'm going to step up, search, scan. And now you know why you want a partner on stairs, because your partner could be watching the overhead while you're slicing this piece off. I work my way right on up, okay? And I'm scanning as I go. I'm working my way up, I'm scanning as I go. I'm working my way up, scanning as I go. If you're here and you ran a search and when you scanned, you actually saw somebody sticking a rifle muzzle over the top to come, I would swing the pistol here and I would work my way down and off the stairs and I would shoot as I go, and that's going to be something that'll be pretty tacky. But that's the only thing I can do is get off the stairwell. It's real simple. Get off the stairs or die. And that's about as good as it's going to get. What we've done now is giving you most of the pieces and parts. There's no way we can cover it all, but what I'm going to do now is give you 2 versions, okay? One I'm going to take you through now. I'm going to talk as I do so you know why it is I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not advocating you talk while you're applying tactics, but you may have to talk to a partner. But most of all, this is so you understand what's going on. You'll also notice that the light's not all that great. This is not like Hollywood, okay? This is not like an Eddie Murphy movie, all right? This is that low altered failing light stuff that we encounter 60% of the time. You'll be able to see well enough that's going on, but it wasn't like we were cheapskates and didn't put the lights on, okay? This is ambient light. And then when we do it then we're going to do it again, but I'm going to do it with flashlights so you get a different perspective of using it with the light. Basically going to take the same run because the tactics remain the same. The only variable in tactics is where they're being applied and how I would do it that way. So we'll have the ambient light one first, and then we'll run you a second version with the flashlight so you can see what's going on with it. Okay, we're going to start here. Our first problem is about ahead of us, about 10 or 12 feet, but rather than going right at it, I have this corner that's here first. So what I would do is keep the gun between me and what I don't like, maximizing the distance. There's that first M. By maximizing the distance, I minimize myself as a target. About right here is the breakover point. I roll in, check it. When I roll, I don't roll to look. I roll in to fight. I'm going to go now and get the door. When the door comes open, I don't want to be in front of it. So I'm going to come back here and use this concrete wall for cover. So I'm going to go forward smoothly. I'm going to pick it up, open it, and just step away from it. Then once it's open, I'm going to start slicing it off again.
There's that deal with architecture. I looked at the door, the hinge is open to me, okay, not a problem. Then I got billiards. Now I actually have two problems. The left that is not clear yet because I don't know what's there, and that opening to the right. So I'm going to clear the close proximity threat first, the left side, but I'm basically scanning the right side too. About right in here, the left side will come clear. Now I'm going to go forward. Now a new point that I'm working on clearing is the left side, and I'm moving nice and smooth and steady as I go. I want to slice it off a little bit at a time. The plane I'm not trying to break is this one right here. So I want to tuck my elbow in. If you watch my hands and arms, I'll rock that elbow down in and get the gun so that I can use it. Then I'm slicing it off right in here, and I keep slicing it. About in here, I start to see the muzzle or something I don't like, so I hold the ground I have. Stop! Get out of my house! And then I would engage the target or whatever was appropriate. And we'll let you take a look at it again from the other side. Simply, I've stepped one step back so you can see us do it again. I'm working this angle. My elbow is tucked in. I'm slicing it off. I start to get something I don't like. Stop! Target went down. I watch him. I'm in no hurry. If you're in your house, I have no reason to go anywhere. If I was moving through or needed to move on through, then I would come right on around, staying as far away from the corner as I possibly can and working it right in here in this format. What I don't like now is that corner, and that's what I'm going to check. Now I'm starting to work the corner, and you can see it from this side. I'm stepping back as far as I can. I'm not rubbing on the wall, making a bunch of noise. I'm slicing it off. I got that elbow down again. Here's my next imaginary plane. I simply come in here. When I'm ready, roll in. It's clear. Now my next problem is here. I want to solve this. If I go around the other side, I get better access, but I also am cut off from my route of escape. What I want to do is go in this format. I'm going to open the door, and I'm going to come straight back down this wall. That makes me the smallest target possible. So I step in here, watch what's going on, get in, step back away from it. The right side of the door is clear, so my new point that I'm clearing is the left side of the door, and I'm slicing it off. Going to kind of flow in here, nice and smooth, slice it off. Then I back away when I can. Now the table and chairs are starting to protect me. Someone's going to have to run around them or over them to get to me. I keep slicing it right on off, slicing them right on around, slicing them right on around. I got something I don't like. Stop! Suspect is down. Hold the ground. Don't go through the rest of your house. If you have to go through, continue on around. Working right around, seeing what's going on. Now I've lost that room visually for quite a while, 3 to 5 seconds. I don't particularly like the left, but I come back and re-slice this. Check it. Use the table to protect me again. So I'm in still good shape. My route of escape is still to the left. This side is clear. I step. Here, stage, roll in. It's clear. Now I come on through. What I don't like is that stub wall, so I'm going to continue to come in here. I have openings over there. I can look at them. If I don't like them, I can drop down and check and see what's going on. But what I really don't like because of proximity is this wall. I got it. Based on what we're doing, remember this is a tactical house. It's set up to do something. We're working that door because we've been directed to do so. I want to open that door. When I do, I don't want to be in front of it. I have two options. Open it, come straight back here. I have another option. Open it, 3 steps back, 2 steps right. Use that stub wall now for cover. My preference would be to use cover if I could. So I'm going to come in here smoothly. I'm going to open it and step back away from it and use this as cover. It came clear to the left. I'm starting to continue to slice this off, working that right side, steady as I go. I'm in no hurry, just working it along. Okay, if I got something I don't like, I can roll in. About here, I get to where I don't particularly like it. Stop! Then I can continue to move it right around, working it nice and slow. What we're doing now is working towards you to slice this off, okay? What I want to do is get access to the target that's right next to the camera, and the cameraman is not there, okay? And then what we're going to do is when we get access to the target, we'll engage it. Stop! Least amount of exposure. Then I would continue to slice it right on around, nice and smooth, taking advantage of keeping the gun between me and the threat. What this does is real simple. Gives you a general idea. Doesn't answer all the questions. This is bad business. We're not doing this because we want to do it. We're doing it and we're learning how to do it in case we have to. Okay, as you get ready to open the door, and I know you're gonna do it correctly, but here's my input. When you twist and turn and the door starts to go, my priority is not the door. That's secondary. The secondary that the door comes open. My priority is that you wind up back where you started so that you take advantage of this concrete wall that will protect you. Okay? So yes, we are in the act of opening the door, but that's not my priority. My priority is to get me out of the doorway, okay, so that I got protected cover. That's what I'm looking for. Okay?
Okay.
Then I work under the premise that everything now is completely changed, so I've just re-sliced it again. And just for a moment, if you pause, everything is going great, not a problem, but this is what we talked about. If you see the depth of the room matches the depth of the door. What I don't truly care for is this offset here, which would indicate a closet or an inset in the room that where basically I could have a problem that would hide from me. Since I visually lost access to the door across the door of the room, what you could do now is just sort of retrace your steps, slicing off a little bit just to confirm that the door stayed shut, even to the point of recheck in the corner if you weren't sure, because it don't cost nothing. Then what I would do is your staging areas, they're on the imaginary line, and what I don't want anything to do is break, shall we say, this imaginary force field until I'm ready. So if I set my foot right on the edge of the line, go ahead and set your foot right on the line. Now move towards me, that foot about 6 inches, because what I just did is cleared your shoulder.
Okay.
And now what you can do is, I want you to see something. If you roll in 4 inches, I want you to come back now and look at the block. Each block is 16 inches long. Look in the room and see the farthest left that you can see.
Okay.
Now roll in 6 inches,
You're right.
and you basically gave up 4. He gave up 16 because you got at least one whole block. So you got 4 more times of the room than he got by doing it in that format, and there's less of you exposed.
I see.
Okay?
Sure.
And then when you get that first chunk, go ahead. Great. Then stay in where you are since you already paid for it. Go ahead and move your right foot 6 inches only because that's all you need to work, and then roll in again and you just got a new 16. And you may or may not, and then if you do, use your verbal compliance request, okay, and then engage them. Okay?
Stop! Drop the gun now!
Okay, the suspect should go down. Don't be in any hurry to step into the fight, because remember, shooting people is like a doctor giving a medicine. Sometimes the medicine works right away, sometimes it don't. Sometimes when you shoot people, it works right away, sometimes it don't. And I'm in no hurry to step in and give them something. One stray lucky shot, femoral artery. Make them shoot through stuff to get to you. I still work under the premise that on the other side of this wall there could be somebody, so you can go ahead and clear that.
Okay. Clear?
Okay, good. Then my personal belief is most people will lean to that side because they get better access to the door now. But also when the door comes open, I'm overly exposed, okay, to the room. My personal attack on it as far as angle of attack would be here in a flat plane. Doorknob, my butt coming right back here. Least amount of me to be exposed. Most importantly, your route of escape, okay, backwards is still open for you. If you open it there and you're cut off or they step in, now you have to struggle to get to that area where here you can work your way easily back to that by applying a liberal dose of gunfire or verbal compliance, okay? So go forward. Get it? And you already know what your priority is. Door is second. My butt behind cover is my priority. And then I flatten it out. Good. No one's going to be in that corner. You're good to go. So now we're working on the right side, okay? And we slice it off easy now. Not too much, not too much, not too much, not too much.
Drop the gun now!
Stay with them. You have a position of advantage in cover, and they're exposed. I already know I'm going to die, but the deal is I don't want to die, and I don't want to die here today. So I give them the least amount of me to shoot at, okay? I know I can be shot, but generally when we get shot, I help them shoot me by giving them something to shoot at, and I don't want to do it that way. Now you already know what you don't like here, which is the corner, so when you roll in to fight, don't roll in to look. Then step through smoothly or whatever it is that you want to do from there. And before you open the door, run an instant replay of where it is I'm going to go, okay, when the door comes open, so there's no question in my mind. I'm not backing up, tripping over a chair or something. Okay? Then start it.
Again, same thing, I'm not necessarily in a hurry. Here might be an example for if you didn't like behind the door because it was sort of shadow wrong, roll your light up and throw the light in on the seam of the door. It doesn't cost anything. It's not like they don't know you're here, okay? You just open the door for them. And now to put your mind at ease and anybody who's watching, we are aware of this door, but since we're working in the green arrow mode, we're not worried about this particular thing being a threat to us. We're working green arrows and the one that's ahead of us is the one we're working on. You already know what you don't like, which is down the wall. So what I want to do is find out what's there with the least amount of me exposed to do so. That's really what I'm trying to do. Get the job done. Don't give them nothing to shoot at.
Stop! Get down!
Where you are now is in a position of advantage and cover. You can make sure that whatever it is your problem is that you're not happy about, you can solve it there. Then when you're ready, you move through. Okay, as an example, okay? If I open the door there and someone steps in as soon as I open it, am I cut off from my route of escape? Yes.
Possibly so.
Right.
Yes.
So the best angle of attack and the flattest amount, and this is very important because it's a pretty tacky spot. As close as you can get in here, the more cover you'll have for that room when you back up. Go in and get it. The door coming open is secondary. My use of cover and getting away from the threat is my primary thing, and that's what I want to work on.
Stop! Get down!
And then back up towards me because you can. Here's the way I look at it. One step equates to me being shot once or 10 stitches in a knife fight. So if I'm here, I have a certain amount of time. If I'm here, I have more time. Neither one of them are good, but this one's better. Okay? Then of course, based on this part, we're starting to slightly work away from our route of escape, but we have no choice to get the issue resolved. And then the use of the light confirms behind the door. Fingers straight, safety on, and then you can holster it.
I really appreciate the fact that you'd come and take the time to watch what we're doing and look at it and see what's going on. You know, everyone pretty much wants a clearly defined black and white answer, and you know, very simply, life is just not that way, okay? It's pretty tough. There's lots of expert guys out there, and I'm sure somebody will watch this and blow it off and go, well, you know what I would have done. Well, you know, the world's full of I woulda, I shoulda, I coulda. The real simple drill is most of what I've done for 30 years is teach people to do something I really don't want them to do anyways, which is shoot somebody. I'm not opposed to shooting. Remember, I'm the guy on TV that said there are people that need to be shot, and I got away with it too. So that's not the point. There are people that need to be shot, but most importantly, you need to be able to defend yourself, okay, and your family. It's the one thing that makes this country different than everyone else's country. You know, you go to Canada and people beat you up. They go, it's a problem, crazy Americans. I'm not opposed to Canada. It's not a problem, okay? But you know what? Their country's dicked up. Those guys, you know, they can't have guns, or they got to like fill out forms. They got to do that stuff. It's the one great thing about this country, okay? This is kind of a neat little plaque. It's named after and dedicated to the guy's, you know, airplane called the Sky Scow. And it was shot down on October the 1st, 1944 over a place called Iwo Jima. This guy was my dad's best friend. He died and the other 9 people on the crew. And what that does is it proves a point. These guys didn't die in vain. They died so that you could watch this video, so that I could make this video, so that you could have a gun, so that you could have the right to defend yourself. It's not about politics. It's about what's in the Bill of Rights. It's about what's in the Constitution. There was a reason they were written up that way. And what I suggest for all of you is to support the NRA. I suggest that you go, I don't like the NRA. Great, not a problem. But you need to put your money where your mouth is and do something. You need to buy good guns. You need to learn to protect your family. You need to teach your kids, okay? And I think what the world really lacks is a little bit of honor and a little bit of integrity. You know, I'm not a perfect, but no one watching this is either. But the drill with it is these guys are planted all over the planet, and they died so that we could do the things that we do. So I'm going to. And like I told you, I prefer that you don't have to use a gun to defend yourself, but I'm not opposed to it in any way. And I would stand up for all of you who did so in a right, proper, and lawful way. So the drill with it is when you go out and press the trigger, remember that somebody paid for that privilege that you have to have a gun and defend yourself. Let's not forget those guys. And another thing, They're out there doing it right now. I don't particularly care about the politics. I'm not a politician, but those people are out there, okay? Those young people are doing something to protect our country. I think it's a good idea. So even if you're opposed to the war, whatever, okay? We always are. The drill with it is don't forget that they're out there paying the interest on a loan that we as a country took out. So support those people. Protect yourself, okay? Shoot, have some fun. Life is actually pretty cool. Have a good time. Thanks.